Magandang hapon, Pilipinas! Narito na naman ang inyong balerina ng bayan, si Lisa Macuja, na bumabati sa lahat ng nakikinig sa DZRH at sa lahat ng nanonood ng RH TV, lalong-lalo na sa ating mga kasamahang alagad ng sining at kultura sa buong bansa. Isa sa mga bagay na gustong-gusto ko dito sa ating programa ay ang makakilala ng mga kabataang alagad ng sining. Lalo na yung talagang seryoso na maging bahagi ng pag-unlad ng arts and culture sa Pilipinas. Ang ating bisita sa hapong ito ay isa sa mga kilalang poets at essayists ng kanyang henerasyon. At meron siyang sinimulang proyekto na naglalayong palaganapin ang makabagong panitikan para sa mga makabagong panahon. Samahan ninyo kami sa isang masayang kwentuhan kasama ang premyadong Makata na si Mookie, Katigbak, Lacuesta.
Isinilang noong 2 ng Enero 1980, si Ana Maria Katigbak Lacuesta ay nagtapos ng Bachelor of Arts in Mass Communications mula sa Ateneo de Manila University noong 2001 at ng MFA in Creative Writing mula sa The New School University sa New York. Aktibo din siyang dumalo sa mga writing workshops, kabilang na ang Ateneo Heights Writing Workshop noong 1998, ang UP Writers Workshop sa Baguio noong 1999 at 2007 at ang tanyag na National Writers Workshop sa Silliman University noong 2002. Bilang Makata, ilan sa mga karangalang natanggap niya ay ang ikalawang gantimpala sa 2008 Carlos Palanca Memorial Award for Poetry, unang gantimpala sa 2007 Philippine Free Press Award for Poetry, ikatlong gantimpala para sa 2005 Carlos Palanca Memorial Award for Poetry at ang 2001 Dean's Award for the Arts mula sa Ateneo de Manila University. Nakapaglathala na siya ng dalawang aklat, ang The Proxy Heroes na naging finalist sa 2008 National Book Award at ang How I Met Your Mother kasama ang asawang si Angelo Lacuesta noong 2009. Sa taon din yun, nakabilang siya sa mga hurado ng Carlos Palanca Memorial Awards para sa Poetry in English at sa Manining Miklat Awards for Poetry. Mababasa din ang kanyang mga tula at sanaysay sa iba't ibang anthologies at maging sa mga sikat na magazine at periodicals sa loob at labas ng Pilipinas. Ipinagmamalaki ng Art2art ang makasama ang isa sa mga pangunahing Makata ng kanyang henerasyon, si Mookie Katigbak Lacuesta.
Magandang hapon, Mookie, and welcome to Art2art.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Pwede ba tanungin ko, ilang taong ka na? Parang bata-bata mo eh.
Guess na lang, guess.
Okay. Let's
not go there.
Her age. Okay, magbalik tanaw muna tayo. Sa ugat ng iyong pagiging Makata, ano sa palagay mo ang pinakamalaking impluwensya sa pagpasok mo sa literatura?
Definitely yung father ko, because very early on, he would read to us. He would read poetry to us. So early on, we got trained to, listen to words a certain way, listen to the rhythms, listen to the cadences. So I would say na the biggest influence was really my father.
Okay. Actually, kadalasan, tinatanong ko lagi sa mga bisita namin dito sa Art2art na mga manunulat, paano ba ang pagbasa ng tula? How do you learn to appreciate it, to derive its meaning,
That's a hard question.
Nga kasi nga, well, honestly,
Yes.
ako, I never really learned to appreciate poetry.
Okay.
The way I'm sure it's supposed to be appreciated. Mas gusto ko talagang magbasa ng prose. Mas madali kasi.
Yes.
So, pagbasa mo ng poetry, yung tatay mo, as in bata pa lang kayo, nagbabasa na siya ng poetry.
Yes.
Kailangan ba talagang mas maaga pa magbasa na ang mga magulang sa mga bata ng poetry?
Not necessarily. I think that people have a misconception na mahirap talaga ang poetry. But it started out as an oral tradition, so people would harvest and sing songs. So it was part of a cultural memory. People would have to memorize it and then sing it as a group. So in that way, very oral. If you appreciate sound, if you appreciate rhythm, I think anybody can really appreciate poetry. But people are medyo ilag now because there's really a misconception that poetry is highfalutin or not for everybody. So,
But what can you do about it na baguhin ang conception na ito?
is this the part where we talk about Metro Serie or?
Well, we can talk about that. Yes, you are editor of Metro Serie.
Yes.
So what is this publication about?
Basically, it tries to put art in a very accessible form,
Okay.
which is a map. So it's
A map, pamphlet.
a map. So
Okay.
it looks something like this.
Uh-huh.
So you open it up and then like a map. And then we print fiction, we print poetry, and then it's illustrated by a graphic artist, Manix Abrera.
Uh-huh.
So the next issue will be art naman. So it just basically, people who are intimidated by art, it's shout out that poetry or fiction is for everybody.
Okay.
So I'd like to think anyway that the format is reader friendly and accessible.
So how do you get funding for this?
Well, actually, it's published by UST Publishing House. So they take care of everything, but we're now available in bookstores. We're available actually in Fully Booked now. So,
And by invitation ba ang pag-publish
Actually-
ng mga poems dito? How do you
actually,
submit to
yes.
Metro Serie?
basically, I approach people whose work I really enjoy and appreciate, and I ask them to contribute. So, it's solicited work, in other words.
Okay. So, kamusta naman ang feedback?
Okay naman. I think students especially like it because, well, it's cheap. Our target was really for students. They were our target audience, our target market. So far naman, knock wood, the reception has been very good. And there, so we're very pleased about that.
Actually, para nga ito yung mga handouts na nasa airport o kaya
Yeah.
nasa mga public transportation.
That's actually our goal,
Yeah.
to have it by the train stations, to have it in train stations eventually.
Okay. So, students being your target readership,
Yes.
do you distribute this in schools?
It depends because we have events where we actually get sponsors to buy in bulk, and then that's when we distribute free. We give them out, but that's only if we have sponsors. Normally, we charge for it because we're in some of the bookstores out there already. So we have to, because we have to get the printing process up and running. So it's necessary actually to
At
charge.
kailan
just a small
nagsimula
fee.
itong Metro Serie?
Oh, late last year, November 2011.
Okay.
It's a new project. It's a baby project.
Okay, ito ba'y, is this a concept or an idea from your studies abroad? Nag-aral ka ng creative writing sa abroad, right?
Yes. I studied at a new school in New York. I took my master's there. But this is not the first time this has been done, actually. Other people, other artists have actually, brought art to the fold-out or the map. And we just figured, why not do it here in Manila? So this has been done in Davao, in the Visayas for a time. But I figured, let's bring it to Manila. So
Yes,
people get
I
it.
remember being given a similar pamphlet by Tita
Yes.
Lacaba.
Yes.
Oops, excuse me. Nahulog yung aking mapa. Can you tell me kung meron bang mga differences ang Filipino writers sa mga foreign counterparts nila?
You mean Filipino writers in English or just Filipino writers in...
Well,
It's-
Filipino writers in English.
in
yes.
English. I think the main thing is we borrow a lot from the Western canon.
Okay.
So especially the young writers now really emulate what's going on, all the different literary movements in the States. But of course, our concerns are different. We write about living in a third world country, for example, something they don't write about in the States or really have no conception of. So I would say the styles, I guess, the different literary movements, we bring them here, but our sensibility is still Filipino.
Okay.
Okay.
Sino ba ang mga kontemporaryong mga makata na nagsilbing inspirasyon para sa iyo?
Well, the women poets, I have to say. Benilda Santos, She writes in Filipino. She's one of our great Filipino writers. Crip Yuson, although he's not a woman. I think he was on the show.
Yes,
He
Crip was
on the
a
show.
guest.
He was one of my early teachers. Si Crip, Eric Gamalinda, again, not a woman, but I don't know where I got my first But a lot of my first teachers were really men. And Benil dos Santos was an early teacher of mine in Ateneo. So, there. Those were my really early influences.
Okay. Marami pa po tayong pag-uusapan kasama ang multi-awarded poet, essayist, and book author na si Mookie Katigbak Lacuesta. Dito pa rin sa Art2art. Magbabalik po kami pagkatapos ng ilang paalala.
Programang hatid ay sining at kulturang para sa lahat. Magbabalik ang Art2art. Schedule ng mga inaabangang konsyerto. Update sa mga magagandang panoorin sa mga tanghalan at teatro. Narito na ang Art2Art Calendar.
Narito ang ating Arts Calendar. Sa pelikula, inihahandog ng Urban Poor Resource Center of the Philippines sa pakikipagtulungan ng sining kadamay ang kauna-unahang Cinemaralita Film Festival na gaganapin mula September 27 hanggang September 29 sa University of the Philippines College of Mass Communication, Diliman, Quezon City. Ang festival ay naglalayong magbukas sa kamalayan ng publiko ukol sa sitwasyon ng mga maralitang tagalungsod. Ito'y dadalhin din sa iba't ibang paaralan at pamantasan sa Metro Manila. Para sa kumpletong detalye, mag-email sa cinemaralita@gmail.com. Sa teatro, muling itatanghal naman ng Philippine Education Theater Association o PETA ang kanilang premyadong Shakespeare rap musical na William sa September 28, alas 3 ng hapon at alas 8 ng gabi sa tanghalang Aurelio Tolentino ng Cultural Center of the Philippines, Rojas Boulevard, Pasay City. Para sa ticket, tumawag sa 725-6244 o 891-9999 o bumisita sa website na ticketworld.com.ph. Sa musika, bilang pagtanda sa ika-10 death anniversary ng food columnist at Ateneo professor na si Doreen G. Fernandez, magtatanghal ng duo concert ang mga pianista na sina Delia Besa at Ana Maria de Guzman sa September 27, alas 4:30 ng hapon sa Escaler Hall ng Ateneo de Manila University, Loyola Heights, Quezon City. Tutugtog sila ng mga Filipino classics at mga awit mula sa Great American Songbook. Tampok din sina Hilda Grande at Rene Angelo Prado. Si Delia Besa ay kapatid ng yumaong Doreen Fernandez. Tampok naman ang Filipino cellist na si Anthony Joseph Inakay sa ikatlo at ikahuling palabas sa special concert series ng Cultural Center of the Philippines na nakatakda sa September 26 alas 7:30 ng gabi sa tanghalang Aurelio Tolentino ng CCP. Magsisilbi bilang pianista si Mary Ann Espina. Kabilang sa tutugtugin ang Sonata for Cello and Piano No. 3 in A Major ni Beethoven, Sonata for Cello and Piano ni Debussy, at Sonata for Cello and Piano No. 2 in F Major ni Brahms.
The country's most beloved prima ballerina bids farewell to 3 of the world's most romantic classical masterpieces. Join Lisa Macuja-Elizalde in her ultimate performances of Don Quixote, Giselle and Carmen in the Lisa Macuja Swan Song Series 2012, featuring Ballet Manila and guest artists Michael Martinuc as Basilio, David Macatelli as Prince Albrecht, and Rudy de Dios as Don Jose, with the Manila Symphony Orchestra and guest conductor Alexander Vikolov. Don't miss Don Quixote on October 5 and 7, Giselle on October 19 and 21 at the Elio Theater, and Carmen on October 26 and 27 at the Star Theater. Lisa Macuja Swan Song Series 2012 is co-presented by Manila Broadcasting Company, Bella Roca, Bank of Singapore. Major sponsor Freeway Art National Artist Collector Series. Special thanks to Island Rose, Ralph's Wine and Spirits, First United Travel, Panlilio Jewelers, and Star City. Tickets are available in all Ticket World outlets at 891-9999 or ticketworld.com.ph.
Usapang sining at kultura para sa lahat. Kasama ang balerina ng bayan, si Lisa Macuja. Art2Art.
Kasama pa rin po natin ang premyadong makata, manunulat, patnugot at book author na si Mookie Katigbak Lacuesta. Mookie, Do Filipinos read poetry?
In a word, no.
Okay.
But apart from the university, of course, where poetry is required reading, poetry is probably the most neglected form here in the Philippines. So, like I said earlier, a lot of people are intimidated by it. So they'd rather read books about vampires or Bob Ong's books, very pop genres and very pop stories. But really, hardly anybody reads poetry today.
Okay. So, kamusta ang pagbenta ng mga poetry books sa Pilipinas? Is there a market?
Apart from the universities, because a lot of poetry books are published by university presses. So, of course, in the academe, you have people who buy your book naman and discuss your books, etc.
Kasi required.
Kasi required, or there is a literary community. And I'd like to think we support each other. But outside the circle, I don't think we really sell.
Wait,
I get
aside
plus points for honesty.
Yes. So, aside from Metro Serie, do you do other projects or activities in order to help promote poetry?
Well, I teach. I teach in Ateneo. So in a small way, I guess, I try to reach out using poetry and making not children, like people who are 19 or 20, appreciate poetry naman and not be so intimidated by it.
Okay. And you are married to a fellow writer?
I'm married to a fellow writer.
Angelo Lacuesta.
Yes.
Sabi nga ni Crip Yuson, you are, Brangelina.
That's not true.
Of the Brangelina of Philippine literature.
That's not true. Great.
So,
not true.
kamusta ang dynamics ninyo bilang mag-asawa in the same field? Do you throw ideas at each other, brainstorm together, do projects together?
Well, he's my first critic, and I think I'm his first critic. But fiction and poetry are different genres. So basically,
he writes fiction.
He writes fiction. So basically, his process is his own, my process is my own. And the nice thing about it is, our processes don't really happen at the same time. So I can be normal, he can be the artist, and then he'll be normal naman, and then I'll be the artist. So
Okay.
our processes really work like that. They complement each other. There.
Does it take you a longer time to write poetry or a shorter time?
As a rule, yes. But of course, sometimes you get really inspired and poetry happens really quickly. Like, I can finish a poem in either a day or 3 months. So it depends on the subject matter and how ready you are to engage the subject matter.
Nasabi mo sa isang interview, and don't deny this, na literature is exciting now. Okay,
Yes.
bakit mo nasabi ito?
Well, basically, because you have the establishment, like Crip, established writers, people who have been propagating the art for so many generations. And you have the young writers who want to, stir trouble, make a little trouble. And who challenge the establishment just for the sake of doing it. We were all young ones, right? So they're transgressive just for the sake of being transgressive, because they kind of want literature in the Philippines to change and to move from the old to the new, so what they call the new. So I call it exciting because there's some kind of tension, and depending on how you look at it, this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I tend to see it as a good thing because at least we're moving along, we're progressing, and both sides are getting challenged, so literature is getting better. They're forced to really, write as best they can.
Okay. So, anong masasabi mo sa mga bata na gustong maging mga makata in the future? A lot of parents actually, when their kids say, oh, I want to become a writer, I want to become a poet,
Yes.
I want to become a dancer,
Yes.
I want to become an artist,
Yes.
sinasabi nila, anak, baka hindi mo mapakain ng pamilya mo niyan. Baka dapat ibang propesyon ang pasukan mo. What can you say about that?
Well, there's really romantic advice and there's practical advice. But I'll give the practical advice. Basically, you need a day job. You can't do this full time. You need a day job. Of course, in your early 20s, you think that the universe will provide. You're an artist, etc., etc. And the fact is, that's a nice concept until you're about 25. And then you realize, I need a day job. This can't be my full-time profession. On the one hand, well, you have to support yourself. On the other hand, you really can't support your own art if 24 hours a day you're just sitting down with a pen in hand or in front of a computer typing a poem or a short story. It's not good for your art also. Because it will, it tends to get paralyzing. It's paralyzed. You put a lot of pressure on it. So you need something else to kind of feed your creative juices.
Yeah. And you need to read.
And you need to
be
read.
exposed to other writers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, other
Absolutely.
forms of literature. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now it's time for you to share your work. I know you wanted to read from Metro Serie, but we want sana to be entertained. Paunlakan mo naman kami ng iyong sariling poetry, kung pwede.
Okay.
Okay?
Should I read one poem? I'll read
Yes,
one poem.
please.
Just a little introduction. This poem was written because my husband actually comes from Davao, and his ancestors were part of a tribe, the Mansaka tribe. And rumor has it, I don't know how true this is, but every time a father or a husband died, they would actually burn their houses. The wife would actually burn the house and then move on. Move on. So
okay.
this is actually about that. This is called Burning Houses. Do I look at this camera or
Just read.
This is Burning Houses. Progress. Metal spires grow out of a ditch. Bulldozers pitch stones like sea tides. Progress. Seal a scar with young skin, lose count of things you mend for. No one said marriage was architecture, but I know a door your anger shut mildly and did not wake a child. From a window, saplings grew lean boughs. We loved darkly, light never left the house. Progress, I'm one half a spouse. I knock on wood, I plan a door, I parse the floor into rooms I longed for, wall by wall, until there are no more rooms, no more walls, nothing more I want to lose. Board, shingle, and roof heave under new terms of use, knowing only how to lose you. I'm learning. The house heaves so it might as well be burning. It's my first poem.
That's your first poem
That's
in your life?
no. That's
okay.
my first poem for today.
Sorry.
I wrote it when I was 2. No.
Well, going back to that, at
Yes.
what age did you write your first poem?
I would say about 15.
15.
My real honest to goodness first poem.
Okay. And this Burning Houses, obviously you wrote after you got married.
After I got married. Actually, I wrote it for my mom because my own father passed away a few years ago. So I wrote it for my mom. As a way of, helping her move on, I hope.
Okay. And how long did it take you to write that?
Wow, a long time because you're dredging up feelings that aren't easy to handle, that you're actually struggling with. So I would say about a year.
A year.
A year to
Okay.
write that work.
Wow.
Long time.
Okay. Next.
Next. I'm reading serious work, but I don't feel serious today. This poem is actually based on a Luna painting, Tampuhan. So you have a lover's quarrel. The woman is facing here, the man is facing outside, looking at the fiesta downstairs, a spectacle, or he's looking across the street at Capiz windows. Syempre, very period. It's a period piece. So it's called Tampuhan, based on a painting of the same name.
Okay.
Each time you turn your back to mine, we disavow a year spent face to face. My heart performs soliloquies, but I grit my teeth. I think of 1,000 profanities to tell the parish priest. Across, Capiz windows recall a game of squares. I map a move through rank and file and plot the square that moved us here. Blank dare of turns we take because we must. Dark draw of sullen rooks before the guarded royal. Love tells us come, then slips beyond our capture. Finished.
Well,
ending.
Wow. Parang naalala ko yung mga tampuhan namin ng mga asawa ko. Okay. Both works are in English, and you
Both
did
works
say
are in
that you
English.
write in English.
Yes,
Have you
I do.
ever attempted to write in Filipino?
No, because I have such a reverence for the language that I'm good at conversational Tagalog, but beyond that, I think I would massacre the language. So out of reverence, I'll keep away. I'll stick to English.
Okay. And of course, mabilis na naman nagdaan ng kalahating oras, and thank you, Mookie.
Thank you so
for
much.
sharing your two poems and so much of your insights on Philippine poetry
Thank you
today.
so much for having me.
More power to you.
Thank you.
And sana sa mga kabataan, kahit hindi kayo bata, matanda, magbasa po tayo ng poetry.
Yes.
That's my resolution also from now on. Magbabasa din ako ng poetry. And more power, of course, to Metros area.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Mga kaibigan, samahan ninyo kami ulit sa susunod na linggo, alas 3:30 ng hapon, dito lamang sa Art2art. Ito po si Lisa Macuja, nagbibigay pugay sa artistang Pilipino at sa lahat ng Pilipinong nagmamahal sa bayan.